You're not just tired, you're suffocating under the weight of everything you never said. You're intoxicated by the silence you swallowed for too long, and today you will finally understand why no amount of sleep seems enough. Why, even after a full night's rest, you still wake up feeling heavy, drained, lost. It's not your body that's exhausted, it's your soul, drowning in the words, the tears, the screams you kept locked inside. I want to tell you a story that mirrors what has been silently unfolding within you. Once upon a time, there was a man admired for his strength, his patience, his unshakable calm. To everyone around him, he was a pillar. But one day, without warning, he collapsed. In the middle of the street, like a tree falling in an empty forest, unseen but deafening, doctors examined him. His heart, lungs, and blood were perfectly fine. Physically, he was healthy, yet he remained there, motionless, staring at the ceiling with eyes that had carried invisible storms for years. An old healer from the village approached him and said, "You're not sick. You're suffocating under everything you've silenced for a lifetime." In that moment, the man who had seemed so strong finally wept, silent, broken tears. And maybe, without even realizing it, this is also your story. Because every time you buried your anger, hid your sadness, or forced a smile when your soul was screaming inside, you weren't just surviving, you were slowly disappearing. And today, it's time to find your way back. To reclaim what was never meant to be swallowed. If your soul is asking for a new beginning, we've created something special to walk this path with you. A guide born from truth and healing. You'll find it lovingly waiting for you in the pinned comment. And if this message resonates with you, subscribe and stay close. This is only the beginning of your return home. Sometimes, the greatest battles we fight are the ones nobody sees. The exhaustion you carry isn't just from long days or sleepless nights. It's the invisible weight of a soul that has been asked again and again to stay silent, to swallow pain, to pretend. You didn't choose to become tired like this. It happened slowly, like a room filling with smoke, so quietly that you barely noticed until you could hardly breathe. You were taught to be strong, to be patient, to handle it. But no one ever told you that strength without expression eventually turns into chains. No one told you that what you silence doesn't disappear. It festers. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." Hand somewhere inside you, behind the face you show to the world, there is a place where your true voice still waits. The voice that trembled the first time you were hurt. The voice that stayed silent when you were overlooked, misunderstood, betrayed. The voice that once dreamed loudly and now only whispers, but the soul never forgets. The truth we bury remains alive, and it speaks through the heaviness in your chest, the tension in your neck, the restless nights when your mind won't stop spinning. This exhaustion you're feeling is not weakness, it's not laziness. It's the silent rebellion of a self that can no longer be ignored, and today you are standing at the edge of a choice. You can continue numbing, surviving, shrinking, or you can choose to listen, to open the door to your own forgotten voice. The path won't be easy. It will ask you for honesty, for courage, for tenderness with the parts of yourself you have locked away for so long. But if you stay with me, if you dare to look at the truth instead of running from it, you will find something waiting on the other side of this silence. Not just survival but life, real life, your life. Let's begin. You tell yourself you're just tired, that you need a break, a vacation, a weekend to catch your breath, but deep down something doesn't add up, because no amount of sleep brings you back. No quiet afternoon resets the emptiness pressing against your chest. And somewhere between your endless responsibilities and quiet moments alone, a terrifying truth begins to whisper, you are not merely tired, you are poisoned. Poisoned by every word you swallowed instead of speaking. Poisoned by the nights you cried in silence because it wasn't the right time to feel. Poisoned by the countless moments you forced yourself to be okay when you were falling apart inside. The soul was never designed to carry unspoken truths indefinitely. The body was never built to trap emotion without consequence. What you suppress, you embody. What you deny, you digest. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your silence begins to turn into symptoms. The chronic exhaustion that no doctor can explain. The shallow breathing that makes you feel like you're suffocating. The tightness in your chest. The restless mind that spins without rest. The nights when your body sleeps, but your soul stays wide awake. You learned to hide it so well. You became a master of survival. Smiling while your heart bled, performing while your spirit withered. But the price of survival is steep when survival demands you silence yourself. Carl Jung spoke of this hidden cost. He warned that what is not made conscious becomes fate, not because fate is cruel, but because the human spirit cannot endure forever in a prison of its own making. Every unspoken feeling becomes a stone added to your burden. Every moment you tell yourself it's not that bad adds another layer of suffocation, until the day comes when your body refuses to carry the lie any longer, until you collapse, maybe not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, existentially, and collapse is not failure. It is the soul's desperate cry for liberation. You might wonder why the simplest things now feel overwhelming, why joy feels distant, and even hope seems like a stranger. It's not because you're incapable. It's not because you're broken. It's because you've been living disconnected from yourself, living as a shadow of the truth you were meant to embody. And here's the hardest part. The world will often praise you for it. They'll call you strong for not complaining. They'll admire your resilience, your patience, your ability to endure without breaking. They will celebrate the persona you've crafted, the one that smiles, serves, produces, and never makes anyone uncomfortable. But deep down you know the cost. You feel it in the hollow ache behind your ribs, in the quiet despair that no accomplishment seems able to erase, in the moments when you're finally alone and the mask slips, and you wonder if there's anything left underneath it. The truth is, strength isn't measured by how much you can suppress. True strength is the courage to feel, to confront the grief, the anger, the longing that you buried because you thought you had no other choice. And make no mistake, and feeling again will feel dangerous at first. It will threaten the identity you've built on endurance. It will unsettle the parts of you that found safety in silence. But it will also save you. Because no matter how much you achieve, how perfectly you perform, if your soul is starving for truth, nothing external will ever be enough. You cannot outrun yourself, you cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. The silence that once protected you has turned into poison. And now the only way out is through the fear of being too much, through the shame of needing too much, through the lies you told yourself to survive. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming who you were before the world taught you it was safer to hide. The exhaustion you're feeling is not a flaw, it is a map. Every place that aches points to a truth you abandoned. Every wave of fatigue signals a part of you still waiting to be heard. And hearing yourself fully without judgment is the beginning of healing. You are not broken. You are buried. Buried under years of being strong, being good, being enough for everyone except yourself, and the process of unburying will feel like dying at times. The death of the persona, the death of the image, the death of the silent agreements you made to survive. But on the other side of that death, there is a life you haven't met yet, a life that breathes freely, loves deeply, and speaks without apology. This is the life your soul remembers. This is the life still waiting for you, and it begins, not with force, not with pressure, but with a single act of radical, quiet bravery, choosing to listen to the part of you that has been whispering, all along, I'm still here. Silence has a language, and if you listen closely, you'll realize your body has been speaking it all along. Every tightness in your chest, every shallow breath, every inexplicable ache in your back, your shoulders, your gut, they are all whispers from the parts of you that were forced to stay silent for too long. You think you're just tired, but your body knows the truth you haven't dared to say out loud. The truth is that silence isn't neutral. It's a current, an invisible force that pulls everything you deny deeper and deeper inside you until it has nowhere left to go but into your flesh, your bones, your dreams. Carl Jung understood this intimately. He taught that whatever is, repressed doesn't vanish. It descends into the unconscious, where it grows wild roots and begins to shape your life from the shadows. What you do not confront within, you will confront without. The anger you swallowed becomes inflammation in your body. The grief you never wept turns into the weight behind your eyes that no amount of sleep can cure. The fear you silenced transforms into anxiety that clutches your heart when you least expect it. Your body is not betraying you. It is trying to save you. Every symptom is a message. Every restless night is a plea. Every sudden wave of sadness, every pang of heaviness in your limbs, every feeling of being off, even when nothing is wrong, is your soul knocking on the door you thought you had sealed shut, because you cannot lock away pain without locking away joy too. You cannot silence grief without silencing wonder, love, and freedom. The walls you built to protect yourself have become your cage, and inside that cage, something essential is wilting. Your vitality, your spontaneity, your soul's natural rhythm. Its hunger for life, connection, authenticity suffocates a little more every time you pretend you're fine when you're not. The human spirit is not designed for perpetual containment. It is wild, alive, messy, beautiful. It needs air, it needs expression. When you suppress yourself long enough, you don't just lose touch with your emotions, you lose touch with your own existence. You wake up one day and realize you don't recognize yourself anymore. You're performing your life rather than living it. You laugh, but it feels hollow. You achieve, but it feels empty. You move through your days, but it feels like you're walking through fog, disconnected, numb, unseen even by yourself, and yet, beneath the numbness, something ancient still stirs, a tiny flicker that refuses to be extinguished. Your true self has not disappeared. It has only been buried beneath the debris of silence and expectation, and the body, in its infinite wisdom, keeps trying to bring you back, through the ache, through the exhaustion, through the symptoms you wish you could just explain away, because symptoms are not enemies. They are love letters from your unconscious, pleading for you to come home. When your chest tightens every time you swallow your truth, that is not weakness. It's your soul protesting, saying, I cannot breathe when you deny me. When your stomach knots at every betrayal you pretend doesn't hurt, it's your intuition screaming, this matters. When your heart races with invisible fear, when your mind loops in endless worry, it's not because you're broken, it's because there are parts of you trapped in the dark, begging for light. Ignoring these signals doesn't make them go away. It only deepens the split inside you, the split between who you are and who you've been forced to become. And that split is the birthplace of all forms of suffering. The chronic exhaustion, the restlessness, the sense that you are somehow missing your own life even as it rushes past you. Healing does not begin by numbing these symptoms. It begins by listening to them, by asking, what are you trying to tell me? What have I refused to feel that now demands to be felt? Where did I abandon? myself in exchange for survival? These are not easy questions. They are not comfortable, but they are the doorway back to yourself. You were never meant to live disconnected. You were never meant to silence your truth just to belong. You were born to feel, to express, to love, without armor, to exist without apology. And no matter how far you've drifted, no matter how long you've worn the mask, the way back is always waiting. It starts with a single breath, a single choice to sit with the ache instead of running from it, a single moment of radical tenderness where you say to yourself, I see you, I hear you, I will not abandon you again. In a world that rewards disconnection, choosing to feel is revolutionary. Choosing to heal is a sacred act of rebellion. Your exhaustion is not your enemy. It is your invitation. Your symptoms are not failures. They are the map leading you back to the parts of yourself that you were forced to forget, and you, even now, are worthy of that return. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are simply being called home, and the journey back begins by answering the knock of your own soul. Breaking free from this silent prison is not about finding a perfect plan or achieving some flawless version of yourself. It begins much smaller than that, much humbler. It begins with a choice, a decision so simple yet so powerful that it shifts everything beneath the surface. The choice to stop pretending, the moment you stop saying, I'm fine, when you're not. The moment you allow yourself to sit with your sadness instead of burying it. The moment you let yourself admit, even quietly, I'm not okay. That is when the walls begin to crack, because what exhausts you the most is not the pain itself. It's the constant war to hide it. You don't have to have all the answers. Yet, you don't have to know exactly how healing will happen. You don't have to be fearless or perfect or strong. You only have to be willing, willing to feel, willing to listen, willing to let the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, have a place inside. You again? Carl Jung taught that healing is not about becoming good enough for the world. It's about becoming real enough for yourself. It's about shedding the persona, the roles, the masks, the endless striving, and standing raw, imperfect, human before your own soul. And here's what no one tells you. Your vulnerability will not destroy you. It will rebuild you. The tears you feared would drown you will actually wash away the debris. The anger you were taught to fear will clear the path to your boundaries. The grief you buried will make room for a deeper kind of joy, the kind that is not dependent on external approval. Real healing doesn't happen in bright, polished moments. It happens quietly, in the messy, painful spaces where you finally stop abandoning yourself. And yes, it will hurt. It will feel like losing pieces of yourself. It will feel like standing naked in a world that demanded your armor. But on the other side of that vulnerability, there is a life that fits you. A life that doesn't require you to shrink, to silence, to betray your own heart just to belong. When you choose to stop fighting your own truth, you stop bleeding energy into the maintenance of a false self. And suddenly, the exhaustion begins to lift. Not because life gets easier, but because you are no longer carrying the unbearable weight of being someone you're not. There will be days when you want to run back to the old ways. Days when silence feels safer. When pretending feels easier. That's normal. Healing is not a straight line, it's a spiral. You will revisit old wounds from new heights. You will touch your pain again and again, but each time with more compassion, more wisdom, more strength. The goal is not to eliminate the pain. The goal is to integrate it, to let it become part of your story without defining you, and you don't have to walk this path alone. Every step you take toward truth, no matter how small, sends out a signal. You begin to attract people, experiences, and opportunities that resonate with your real self, not your mask. You build a life that nourishes you instead of depleting. You learn to say no without guilt. You learn to say yes without fear. You learn to listen to the soft, steady voice inside that always knew the way home. And perhaps most importantly, you remember something sacred. You were never broken. You were buried. And the act of unburying yourself, messy, raw, brave, is the most beautiful thing you will ever do. You are allowed to outgrow the versions of yourself you created to survive. You are allowed to rewrite the story. You are allowed to want more, to need more, to be more. And you are allowed to be tired. Not just in your body, but in your soul. But now you know this tiredness is not a dead end. It's a doorway, a sacred invitation to step out of the life that was never truly yours and into the life that has been waiting for you all along. One breath at a time, one truth at a time, one act of courage at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out to begin. You don't have to be fearless to start. You just have to be willing to say, I will no longer abandon myself. That one decision can change everything, because the soul, once heard, once honored, will move mountains. Inside you to help you remember who you really are and who you are. It is enough. Always has been. Always will be. Maybe you thought you were just tired. Maybe you believed the lie that you were weak, lazy, broken. But now you know, you were never the problem. The silence was. The truth is, every time you swallowed your pain, your soul paid the price. Every time you wore a mask to fit in, a piece of your light dimmed. Every time you said, I'm fine, when your heart was breaking, you moved a little further away from yourself, but no more. You are standing now at the sacred threshold, the place where old identities crumble and the real you begins to rise. Yes, it will be terrifying at times. Yes, you will be tempted to go back to what is familiar, even if it hurts. But you are stronger than the fear. You are wiser than the old wounds, and the life that is waiting for you, the life that fits your soul, is not behind you. It is ahead. It is born from the ashes of everything you thought you had to be. It is crafted from your truth, your scars, your fierce, unbreakable spirit. Carl Jung said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Today you are awakening, not because someone gave you permission, not because life became easier, but because you chose, against all odds, to stop abandoning yourself. The exhaustion you carried was never a punishment. It was a message, a call to come home. And now, step by step, truth by truth, breath by breath, you are answering that call. You are not just surviving anymore. You are beginning to live. If your heart feels this stirring, this quiet remembering, know that you are not alone. Stay close. There is so much more waiting for you here. Subscribe and be part of this journey inward. And if you feel the call to dive even deeper, you'll find a special guide created with love, waiting for you in the pinned comment. You were never meant to disappear into silence. You were meant to rise, and you are rising.